My name's Kyle Campbell. I'm the founder and CEO of CTO.ai. Today I'm here to tell you a little bit more about the Ops platform and how to get started. So first of all, let me tell you about the Ops platform. The Ops platform is what we think of as the shared command line for development teams that runs both in the terminal and in Slack. The idea is that you can run these things that we call ops, which are essentially containerized code. And when you write them with our SDK, they run both in any terminal but also in Slack to provide both an interactive experience for your development workflow, but also as a way to collect analytics on your delivery processes. We believe that this is one way to offer a chat-first serverless DevOps experience. It makes your DevOps tooling and your developer tools very accessible to your entire development team. And you don't have to take on the overhead of implementing a specific chat ops experience. You kind of get this out of the box. So let's just get started with how to get set up here. So let me just switch over to my screen. You can see here I'm on the website. I've got the website on the left-hand side. Over here, I've got a fresh new Slack workspace, and then I've got my terminal at the bottom. So I'm just going to click sign up, and it's going to take me a minute here to create my account. Kyle, Campbell, KC, May 13 at CTO.ai, KC, May 136 at CTO.ai. That's my username, so we don't want to put in an @ symbol there. I'll give it a password, and I will essentially be a team lead or a manager. So let me just sign up here. We're going to need to accept the terms of service, and I'm not going to save my password here, but you can. So first thing you'll see here when you get started is the dashboard, and the dashboard should allow you to start off by connecting your Slack application to the platform. Then next you're going to install the CLI so that you can build these ops and publish them to your team. You can also get started with running ops by exploring our registry to see some of the ops that have been built before you and published openly to our registry. You can then create a team and invite the members of your team so that all your developers can share the same developer tools. Now, if you get stuck along the way or you have questions, you can always schedule a demo and talk to a DevOps expert on our team. I'd be happy to jump on the call with you anytime. You can also make your own ops. So here's the link to the documentation that links and describes how to get started with our SDKs, provides lots of interesting examples. And then the ops community is a free and open Slack community with hundreds of developers who are all joined to explore the future of DevOps. So I'm just going to get started here by connecting my application, the CTO.ai application, to the Slack workspace on the right side. You can see here the CTO.ai getting started workspace. Let me just click allow, accept those permissions, which are some very basic permissions for getting access. You can see now I've installed the application. The bot over here has been installed. The app has sent me a message, and it tells me the first step here is to associate my account. So I'm just going to click associate account, and this should associate my account. So now it's going to just redirect me back to the Slack workspace, but I've already got that open, so I'll just close this. So now that the bot's been connected, you can see here it sent me the message, account linked successfully. Now I should be able to ops run in any channel. I can see ops in my team by ops list, and I can run an example op here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this example, and I'm going to come over to the general channel. You'd obviously want to create like a DevOps channel in a shared workspace with your team, and I'm going to /ops run at CTO.ai Tor. This is going to actually ask me to associate a team first, because you have to associate a team to every channel. And so I'll start by associating this team here. So now you can see my general channel is associated to my personal team. But in the meantime, and we're going to publish an op to that team so you can see it running. But in the meantime, I just want to show you running an op from the public registry. So here you can see I'm running an op from the public registry from the CTO.ai team called Tor. And this is sort of the interactive experience that you can expect here with an op that you build. So this Tor op says, do you want to see code snippets? Yes. So it's going to show me different code snippets. I'm the CEO. Great, showing me some more examples. It's showing me the progress bar. And essentially this op is going to go through a number of steps here to show me what it looks like to run an op. How many people on my team? 13, we'll say. That's a random number, but it's a lucky number. It is. And would I like some swag? Yes. Cool. So anyway, this is kind of an example of what you can build with the Ops platform. We also have the idea of secrets and secret inputs. Example, we'll just say. And what this is going to do is it's going to source the secret gets stored in the secret store, and then it's going to continue on with the workflow. So let's just pick this, and yes, I'm loving ops so far. I believe this is done now. Cool, so now you can see the workflow is completed successfully. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, in my local development environment, I'm now going to install the CLI, and you can see here the little green check mark that shows that I've connected Slack. So now I'm going to install the CLI, and I'm just going to follow these instructions. I'm going to copy and paste this to my clipboard and paste it into the terminal. And so this is going to use NPM to install the CLI into my terminal so that I can use the CLI to get started building, publishing, and running ops. I'm going to take the second command here while this is installing, and I'm going to drop that in. Ops account sign in. This will pop up a window in the browser, and it'll authenticate me. You can see welcome back, KC May 136. And now what I'll do is I'll just ops list so that I can see what ops are in this team, and you can see there's no ops yet. I can also ops search, which will search ops from the public registry. And if I type the word Tor, for example, you can see the CTO.ai Tor op that I ran in the terminal. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to ops init, and what this allows us to do is deploy our first op. So we have a JavaScript, Bash, Golang, and Python SDK. I'm just going to use the JavaScript SDK because it's the first choice, but usually I use Bash, to be honest with you, because it's really easy to use Bash inside of a command line or a containerized environment. And often you want to do things like call Terraform or call the AWS CLI within your container. And so Bash is really good with that. Other times you may want to use code that's actually calling an API or using an SDK, so that works as well. But just remember, you have to sometimes shell from your code into the container if you're trying to use a binary from the traditional DevOps strategy of things like Terraform or the AWS CLI. So I'm just going to generate this. I'm going to call it example, just getting started example, version 0.1, and there you can see there you see it. It's generated the code for me, and it tells me that I can get started with example index.js. So in here, what you can see is the code is set up to basically include our SDK, and we're pulling in two modules, the UX and the SDK module. The SDK module is most of the functionality for tracking events, getting and setting secrets, getting and setting configs for your team. But then the track method is what sends the metrics to our server so you can track different events, as you can see here. The UX module is how you prompt users and interact with the user to get inputs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip to the end of the line here, and I'm going to say Kyle, just so that we have some code contributed here. And I'm going to save this file. I'm also going to just show real quickly the ops.yml file, because the ops.yml file is sort of like the package manifest. So you can see here version 1, the commands. You can see that I've named the command. It's going to be a public, not a public op. It's going to be a private op. Down here, you can see it's using SDK2 and remote, so that tells us that it'll run in Slack. And then I have this sort of run command, which is the entry point. If you're going to publish an op to the registry, we recommend using source code URL so people can click through. And then these mount command current working directory mount home options are just for command line ops. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at the Docker file. So the Docker file is really simple. Typically, it is a Docker file that uses our base image. Sometimes it's a two-stage build. But as long as you're using our base image, we can guarantee that the container with our SDK will run inside of Slack as well as the terminal. You don't have to use our containers, or if you have concerns about our containers, you can reach out to us and we can help provide you like a custom base image. Or build a base image off of one of the distros that are part of your security policy. But generally, these are all essentially officially supported LTS distros that we've just baked our ops daemon into. And the ops daemon is what allows us to deal with the portability aspect of the container to make sure that the interactions run in different places. So with that said, I'm just going to do simply ops run example, and I'm going to pass -- build. And what this will do is it'll both build the op and then run it. And what we should get is a pretty quick example of what this interaction looks like. And if you remember, it's going to ask me, I think, how am I doing today, Kyle? To which I'll answer it, and it'll accept my answer and return the response. So obviously, the first time you build this container, it takes a little bit longer because it has to run the dependencies. But you can see here, how are you doing today, Kyle? And I'll just say great, and it'll respond great. So great. Now that this is done, I'm now going to publish example. And once that's published, it should now be accessible to my entire team through the CLI, but also Slack. So you can see here, we're creating a release. We're publishing the images to a registry. And once those images are published, I'm just going to switch over. Boom, it's done. Now I'm just going to switch over to Slack, and I'm going to go ops list. And there you go, ops run example. So let's ops run example. And as you'll note here, I'm calling example directly because this op is published to the team that's associated to this channel. You don't need to include the team name in the namespace of the op that you're running if it's part of the currently active team. If you're running it from another team or a public team, you will need to provide the registry. That's what the team name within the context, because that's what tells us that this is an op that's running from a different namespace than your active team. So let's run this. You can think of your active team as sort of a curated list of approved ops. So you can see this is initializing here. That means our serverless environment's pulling down the container, and we should get a hi, how are you today, Kyle? Great. And it responds to me as well. So there you go. Obviously, that's not a robust DevOps experience right there, but what it does show is how easy it is to get started with the ops platform, and how easy it is to deploy your chat ops workflows into Slack, but also make sure that they work in the command line. We're going to be releasing a lot more videos that show some of the more robust concepts. So we've got ops that do lots of different things, anything from deploying a Kubernetes cluster to helping you manage your CI/CD pipeline. We've got ops for GitHub Actions, and we've got people who are building their own custom deployments. There's a lot that you can do with this, and we think it's one of the easiest ways to get started with a DevOps strategy in Slack. And I hope this video was helpful. One thing to remember when you're getting started is you will need to install Docker and Node.js into your local environment, and you'll see that within the steps for installing the CLI. That's only needed if you're going to build ops. Now, if you're just someone who's going to run it, you only need to go through the process of interacting with the platform through Slack. Then you won't have to worry about installing those. Anyway, I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you have a great day.